most visitors of the Niagara Gorge, the rapids are something better viewed from a safe distance. But for John Kinney of Whirlpool Jet Boat Tours, they became the inspiration for what would become a Niagara Falls staple.
I grew up on a whitewater river back in Pennsylvania, where I was originally from, and my background was actually whitewater kayaking. And part of being 17 years old and going to a whitewater race up in northern Ontario, driving from Pennsylvania up north, you drive right through Niagara. Well, like everybody else, I stopped and checked out the falls for 10 minutes, but being a whitewater person, I was intrigued by the rapids below the falls.
The Whirlpool Jet Boat Tours will take you on a rip-roaring ride through history and the Niagara Gorge.
Our trip is 50% historic and scenic, and then the other half is the rapids. So here we are, we're down below the gorge. This is where the War of 1812 was fought. On the trip, you get to see Fort Niagara on the American side, Fort George on the Canadian side, Brock's Monument, the Queenston-Lewiston area, and then once we get upstream of the waterfront here in Lewiston is where we get into the gorge, up past the power plants, which are the man-made marvels of Niagara, and then once we get upstream of the power plants, we get into the rapid portion of the trip.
The unique rapids of the Niagara Gorge make this portion of the trip unique to Western New York.
What's really cool about the rapids here on the Niagara is that they're unique in whitewater because they're formed not by water flowing over rocks like most whitewater rapids are, but that Great Lake, 35-mile wide Great Lake of Lake Erie, gets squeezed into about 125 yards wide. All that water having to move through such a tight, narrow passage, and because the water's going downhill, that's what creates our rapids. So our rapids here are actually about 40 to 50 foot deep, which is extremely deep for whitewater rapids.
Well, it's an adventurous trip. It is safe for all ages.
I think the important thing for people to know about our trip is even though we're going through Class 5 whitewater rapids, these boats make it accessible to 6-year-old kids and seniors into their 70s and 80s, and our record is a 96-year-old lady has taken our trip.
But be warned, you will get wet.
The experience of our trip is a very wet trip. We provide all the splash gear for you from head to toe. It keeps you warm, it doesn't keep you dry. But depending upon where you situate yourself in the boat, the first 3 rows of the boats, we call those the power rows. The waves up there, they come in a little more green, not so white and frothy, and they hit you pretty hard. Then, as you move towards the back of the boat, equally wet, but not quite as intense.
And all of this is made possible because of some serious technology.
What a jet boat is essentially it's a big vacuum cleaner of water. Our boats have no propellers, no rudders, which conventional boats use for power and steering. All that moves and steers our boat is 3 large jets of water about 1 foot in diameter. The powerful engines suck the water up into the boat, compress it, and shoot it out the back, and that's what enables to push 25,000 pounds of boat and 7,000 pounds of passengers up, 12 to 14 foot waves, which we have at Devil's Hole.
So if you're a boat person or just looking for that next big thrill, grab your poncho, grab your rain boots, and head down to the gorge.
And I have to give 2 shout-outs. One to our intern, Amelia, who was sent on one of the boats that was getting wet with our GoPro camera. And, of course, our photographer, John Mombre, who was standing at the back of the boat, holding on to dear life, doing a miracle of a balancing act. I have some pictures that I'll post to our Facebook page because it was impressive. They were impressive.
I can hardly watch it. Oh, man.
So this isn't something that you would do on, like, a casual Saturday afternoon?
I'm good. But it looks like it would be a lot of fun for someone who is into that kind of thing.
And it's a little bit of history and a lot of adventure, so it's
That's
something.
cool about the jets and how that makes the boat go.
Oh, that was the coolest part. He opened it up and the jets were huge.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it was neat.
Well.